Hey, what is up everybody, Blades for here, and today for guys another video of Persona 5X. Inside today's video guys, we're going to be going over the character S Tomoko and mainly seeing if her weapons are worth it or if they are not worth it themselves. Now this is something that I've been going over, or at least going over types of aspects for S Tomoko herself, seeing that she's coming out either later on today or tomorrow anyways for global side of things. So hopefully this helps out anyone who's actually going to be pulling for her and deciding if you really want to go for her weapon. But if you guys like videos like these, be sure to sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really does help me out quite a lot. We're still trucking up to 16K and we're getting closer and closer by the day. So thank you guys for all the support, and let's get straight into it. So S Tomoko is going to be coming out very soon on the global side of things, and hopefully no one minds this, but I'm on TW so I can showcase the character. If you do mind it, well then I don't know what to say about you here. But we're going to be going over both her weapons, or at least 3 of her weapon options here that you're able to go ahead and use for this character if you do decide to try and get her. Now the reason why I say 3 is because 2 of these weapons of course belong to her, being the 5-star weapon, which are these cute little things here, and then of course the 4-star weapon being these little stars. And then we have the other weapon that I could very well recommend, which is a 5-star weapon of the 4-star Tomoko. Now, I don't normally use that one. I always get rid of her 5-star weapon, though I have to say this, it does come in handy. So we're going to go ahead and elaborate more on this here. You're going to see on my screen in a little bit pop up being the lafel.net screen. Now, first thing I want to say here, no matter how you view it, it's honestly up to you. You guys can use any of these weapons. It does not really matter to you. It's whatever you want as a personal preference and what you want to do for the character. Personally, for me, I always like to get the 5-star limited weapon if I can get it, but it is not a mandatory thing. So to explain exactly what's going down here, let's take a look at S Tomoko first. Now S Tomoko has her limited weapon, which is very helpful, but it's more than likely going to be helpful for healing itself. By getting this 5-star weapon, she already is a healer, but she gets more experience into the healing type aspect. If you did not have this weapon at the beginning, she didn't heal too much because we didn't have many buffs for her. But as time went on, she ended up getting buffed up and she could heal very well. Now the 5-star weapons made this more prevalent, seeing that the healing effect is increased by 22%. And then of course, if we're using gorgeous fireworks, our healing and skill multiplier is now increased by 18.5%. This is all happening at a A0 amount or R0 amount. So just by having this weapon, you are going to have those 2 effects. Then of course, the third effect increases your damage taken to foes whenever of course you hit the gorgeous fireworks by 8% or 8.5% for 2 whole turns, and this can stack. Now this weapon is exceptionally good, don't get it twisted. It is a really nice weapon itself here, but the issue with it comes down is it's not really boosting anything that we're really looking for other than our healing effect. Now her healing is based on attack percentage itself, so with this weapon we're surprisingly not getting any attacking percentage here. We're only getting increased damage taken, the healing effect itself is being increased, and our skill multipliers are being increased. This is allowing our DPS to deal way more damage, of course, seeing the enemy's now going to have those debuffs on them, and it is also allowing Moko to heal as much as possible. But the 4-star weapon is not a bad decision either. So with the 4-star weapon, which does look like these little stars here, this one I would recommend a lot more people to really go for. Main reasoning for it is because, as I did say before, her attacks, or at least her heals, do scale off for her attack as well. So her attack, if it is getting increased by this said 4-star weapon, it gets increased by 24%, and it increases our healing effect by 24.8% as long as we are triggering gorgeous fireworks for 2 whole turns. Now gorgeous fireworks is a follow-up move that we're always going to end up triggering anyways here, so there's not really a need to think, okay, I might not end up triggering this move because of yada. No, this is always going to be something that is going to happen based on the amount of sparks that we do get. So after we get a certain amount of sparks here, we immediately get our follow-up, which is going to be the gorgeous fireworks follow-up, and that's going to deal some extra damage. No matter what happens, this is built into the A0 kit, so you don't have to worry about, oh, I gotta go for dupes or anything like that. None of that really matters. You will always proc this aspect. So it gives you more of that look on the 4-star weapon that is probably a little bit more worth it, seeing that the 4-star weapon just vaguely gives you, not to mention this little kit aspect here, but also gives you the attack percent that you do need for her heals. For those of you who do not believe this, of course, you can go ahead and check it for yourself on the A0, where it literally says gorgeous fireworks and explains how this does work. Now, Her heals, as always, are built off her attack percentage. You can see from Please Enjoy, it restores 22.4% attack plus the HP amount. So as long as you're having a good amount of attack percent, you will always be healing very well. Hence the reason why I recommend the 4-star weapon. But there is another option that you could very well use. That's going to be at least the 4-star Tomokos 5-star weapons themselves. A 4-star Tomoko is a good replacement for Tomoko herself. She does not that she heals or anything, but she does do a little bit of buffing that you will need for characters such as Haru, which require EHR or elemental accuracy. Now, that's not the talk for today, that's for a different video itself here, but the 5-star weapon for 4-star Tomoko here is called Dream and Nightmare. This one increases your attack by 30%, and whenever we do use a skill on an ally, it also increases the target's attack by 21% for 2 whole turns. Now, you're always going to be using your healing skill with the 5-star Tomoko, and there's a reason why I didn't mention the middle part, because this just does not affect that Tomoko at all here. But what's it called? You're always going to be using your second skill on any of your type characters, right? If you're using a DPS, you're usually going to be buffing them. And with Please Enjoy, you get a main stat that's boosted, or at least you get a stat that's boosted based on using that second skill. So no matter what happens, you are going to be focusing down one whole character here in order to make sure they do the best that they can deal. This is usually increasing the EHR that she needs, the bonus on one unit here. So you're always going to have that main person that you're looking at. So with the skill 2, and since you're always buffing a person, you will always have this attack percentage. For those of you who are whales or probably dolphins and ended up getting this weapon, this is your time to shine, because this weapon itself is giving you the attack percentage, which is way higher than the 4-star weapon that we get on S Tomoko's weapon itself. And then it also gives you extra attack percentage whenever we do use a skill for 2 whole turns. This is automatically great because this means you're going to be healing more, and really all you need to do is have a HP bonus card, and you will be able to heal pretty darn decently while giving your team a nice old buff. I think that's probably the best weapon to use if you're not going to go with the 4-star S Tomoko weapon or the 5-star Axolotl weapon here, and that will probably be your best choice. Now the question is, how do they differ? The only problem is the Dream and Nightmare, I actually do not have that weapon still on my TW because I keep getting rid of it. I think it's been like the 4th time I've ended up sacrificing that thing to actually boost up one of my other weapons. But the other 2 weapons for Seaside Tomoko here, I do end up having. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is show you guys the differences, not only just with the stat differences of both these characters here, but how much they do heal, because I think that's a thing on a lot of people's minds of, if they're going to go for this character, how much are the heals different here, and how much do they really affect the team that she's being used in. So once again, we're going to use Haru as a little bit of an example here and show you guys exactly what this is going to be doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and get everything on ready, and you guys are gonna see everything bit for bit. All right, so we're gonna be using this team for the little bit of the example, and we're using the 5-star weapon first. This is going to be our main one to actually check out for healing as well as the stats. So the stats that I do have, where you're looking at something like this, where it's 4,274 attack, as well as a little bit of healing bonus here, and seeing exactly how much we really can help out our team here. So we got the basics here, nothing much that we got to look at here, and we're going to actually check out the healing effect. So first things first that we need to do as a control group is, how much are we really healing? So I'm going to go ahead and just take this as if we're doing a regular little fight, because we're also getting a bit of a increase in damage whenever we do use our gorgeous fireworks. So first things first is our skill 2. So the first amount that we do with our skill 2 for healing is going to look at 5,227. Not bad, pretty darn decent. And of course, by using that said heal, it always gives a better healing effect here, and we get a lovely skill multiplier increase and damage increase when we do our gorgeous firework. So first thing, I'm not really gonna do like a huge rotation here. We're not gonna do any like damage huge rotations here or anything like that, but I do want to try to set this up in the best way possible. So we're gonna use our skill 1, and then we're gonna go for the skill 2 and pop off everything else later, or skill 3, then pop off everything. So boom, skill 1's on, pretty darn decent. We did around 154k, 157k with the addition, and as you can see, we don't really deal too much off her fireworks, or at least off her follow-ups, because she's mainly meant to heal off of that. So now that we have everything in place here, and I do want to make sure we do a little bit of an optimal run, you guys are going to be able to see how much we really are healing, how much our follow-ups really can deal, and what really comes to play with this here. So first things first, with this one, I would like to go ahead and buff immediately here. And then with our skill 3, we're dealing around how much well, I wish I could see, but our fat heads in the way. We did about like 20k, I think it was here, which isn't really that bad. Now that is because we now have done our gorgeous fireworks, and with that in mind, our skills are now being multiplied, which is great. And of course, our damage taken to the enemy is being great. So automatically we have the skill multiplier, which is 18.5% here. I wish I could, there it is, right here is the 18.5%, and that's going to help us out for healing as well as just skill damage. If we go ahead and take a look at the enemy here, you immediately can notice that they have the increased damage taken by 8.5%, and this is for 2 whole turns, and it can be stacked. This is only available with the 5-star weapon. So if you don't have the 5-star weapon, obviously you're not going to get that lovely little bonus. It's going to be a little different. So do keep that in mind here. But let's go ahead and pop this on off. Boom, 348k, 405k there, lovely, 431k immediately off of that one little follow-up. Now this is all going to be thankful to that increased damage taken, so pretty decent, pretty interesting, does more than enough than what we need. So go ahead and pop off with the skill 3 here, making sure we have all 3 of our bullets, and then we can go ahead and follow up with an actual gun attack, which I did about 618k, which is great to see. Now I have everything in place here. I want to of course deal 1 more damage, which is going to be based on the what's it called, the gun here. But if we heal again, we're around 5,440, normal amount, nothing too crazy here, and we're just going to get this all buffed up. And then I want to pop off the little ult here so you guys can actually see how much damage we really can deal. So first things first, let's pop off our highlight so you guys can see that, of course, see the damage that we're going to deal. All right, 329k with the follow-up, we're getting around 426k, not bad. Then of course, if we use our gun, boom, because this is going to do all the good damage here. We did, I wish I could see it, but her head's in the way once again here. I'm imagining around like 400 something k, maybe 500. So not bad. I would say that's pretty decent. And with the amount of things that we're able to heal off of with our Tomoko, I think that's great. Just for 1 more before we go ahead and close it out, I want to see how much the heal is going to be for, even though we technically should use our skill 3, 3,300, not bad. All right, now let's swap over to the 4-star weapon and see how this does differ. All right, so I noticed I was 2 off of max. I maxed out the 4-star weapon real quick, but you guys can see the difference, of course, in how this does work. We immediately have 4,371, which is a little bit higher than our last one, but our healing effect is absolutely gone. So we're going to see exactly how this does affect everything here and how much heal she really can get off, as well as if this really affects the amount of damage that we can deal. So let's go ahead and give this a little bit of a look-see. So first things first, we're going to do this as normal, just attack like normal. And I immediately want to see the difference of our heals. Now we do of course get some decent healing off of just using our skill 2, which is great. Of course, we're getting that lovely increased healing every time we trigger our gorgeous fireworks, but let's see how much this does heal for. Now, instead of being around the 5,300, we're at 4,200, which really isn't that bad. It's only about at least 1,300 difference, which I feel like is pretty darn nice to see rather than seeing something that's drastically different here. But we need to see exactly how much does this really hurt us out here, right? So we got to trigger our gorgeous fireworks, and when we trigger that, we'll be able to get another attack increase, and we can actually see how much our attack truly does get changed here. So first things first, I'm going to use our skill 1, and we're going to get this all set up here. Now around 151k. Then of course, after we do our follow-up, we did around 156. I'm right, we did at least 160 something our first turn. So this is lower, but it's nothing too low. So I guess we can take it for now. So this round here, we're gonna go ahead, do our buffs, or at least our debuffs on the enemy, and do our actual buff for Haru to see how much she can really deal. Also here on this round, we should be able to get our lovely amount of what's it called, a lovely amount of a follow-up, so we should see the additional amount of the healing effect itself here. So first things first, pop off this, go ahead and use this. We still get the defense down immediately, which is always great. That only did about 27k, which is perfectly fine. The other one did about 30 something k, so we're still in the ballpark when it comes down to that. Now when it comes to this next move, we're going to go ahead and use our skill 3, and with this being used, we should be able to go ahead and see how much damage we'll get off on this. So immediately about 340k, 391k, and this boosts this up to a good 420k, which is not too bad. I think this is about a 200k difference maybe, but or maybe a 100k difference, but it's not too bad, which is always great to see. Now per usual, you get the damage increase, 526k, not that bad to actually look at. And of course we got the follow-up. So since we got the follow-up sparks here, if we go ahead and check out our characters, or check out our character herself, we should have the healing effect by 24.8% here. So if we want to look at this, let's find it right here. This would be the healing effect. Now we can see how much she really does heal once we get to her turn, which is going to be great for us. We also see the amount of attack that we have, which is 5,693, which is still pretty darn decent as well. This is based on the amount of attack percentage that we get, which is the 24% attack percentage. And hopefully I can find that. I think it's the, no, because that's the heal effect here. Where is my 24%? Unless it's already active, which that might be the case. It might already be active here. So we are getting our increased 24% immediately already on this character. Now, since we did buff a person, right? Since we buffed the person, we're already doing good. We already have our healing that we do need here. So we're looking pretty darn decent. Now this round, since we've already used our skill 1, we're going to go ahead and pop off our skill 3 just to see how much damage it really can deal. And we're looking at 116, 584, which is not a bad amount of damage because we're able to, of course, get the damage that we need just based on the character itself. So I think we're doing pretty darn decent when it does come down to that here. But now we can just go ahead and block this. We want to do everything exactly the same. And just to make sure we're getting off the healing correctly or doing the same thing that we did last time, let's pop off our skill 2. And now we're doing 5,433, which is pretty much on point of what the 5-star was doing. That's thankfully to the healing effect that we ended up getting off of this, which is actually 2% higher than the 5-star weapon itself, seeing that we've ended up triggering golden fireworks or gorgeous fireworks. And we of course are helping out our Haru no matter what, seeing that she's getting that lovely healing effect and being able to benefit off her skill 2 EHR amount. So everything's pretty much the exact same way here, if not a little bit better, seeing that we're able to now recover the HP that we have while also benefiting off the attack percentage. But now we need to try out the 4-star weapon that Moko has to see how this does go there. So give me 1 second. All right, so I do apologize once again for this video being on the longer side, but hopefully you guys understand the worth of having Moko and the worth of not having her. She does pretty decent either way, whether you have Haru with her or not, but there is an obvious difference in score that you guys would end up being able to check out rather than what's it called, not having her at all. So in all honesty, you don't really need this character. Haru does more than enough damage without her. So if you do want that optimal setup and you want to be optimal as much as possible for that damage, then you do want to, of course, have that as well. But now we've finished all of this, guys. Thank you guys for watching. And until next time, have a wonderful day and peace on out.